My thoughts on the WNBA. Two things. I have two separate thoughts. One, ESPN PR came out with their press release about the amazing ratings they had for the WNBA All-Star Game. It was up.
In the recent game, Angel Reese followed her usual pattern, struggling with close-range shots but managing to recover her own misses. The coaches shifted her role to a facilitating forward, which led to 9 turnovers during the match. Her impact rating was a -19. Despite this, media attention still highlights her streak of consecutive games with double-digit stats in 2 categories. This is her second such streak, with the first occurring last season and the current one ongoing, something no other WNBA player has achieved. The team ultimately suffered a heavy loss, with Ree making multiple errors throughout the game.
Amazing ratings they had for the WNBA All-Star Game. It was up 36. It was up, what did they say? 89%, I think, from 2023. 2 million people, about 2.1 million, maybe close to 2.2 million, watched that travesty of an All-Star Game on Saturday. And so ESPN compares it to 2023 and puts out a press release about how great things were. But if you compare it to 2020...
For those who watched the full game rather than just the stats, her overall contribution appeared significantly lacking. The WNBA continues to evolve, showcasing top players like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, Aya Wilson, and other outspoken stars. Numerous influential figures and organizations are supporting the league's growth and visibility. ESPN reported that their All-Star Game broadcast saw an 89% increase in viewership compared to 2023, with about 2.1 million viewers tuning in on Saturday. The network presented this as a major success, especially compared to years without Clark. Yet, a closer look at 2024 comparisons tells a different story.
It's about how great things were. But if you compare it to 2024, when Caitlin Clark actually played, it was down 36%. 3.5 million, 3.4 million people watched last year's WNBA All-Star Game. This year, a bunch of people did not watch, and they were smart because that game was a travesty. It was an embarrassment. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen in professional sports. However, I do want to argue whether this is a good look for Caitlin Clark.
When Clark played in the prior All-Star Game, viewership peaked at 3.44 million, making this year's 2.1 million audience a 36% drop. Even without her active participation, 2 million viewers still tuned in, highlighting strong engagement levels. Clark's influence was evident. Attendance remained high, one team was named after her, and she acted as team captain. Her presence during introductions and while on the bench drew significant attention. Had she played, the numbers likely would have matched or surpassed the previous year's 3.44 million total.
Good look for Caitlin Clark, either way you slice it. There's 1.2 million people did not watch as opposed to last year. But 2 million people did watch this year, and that's a dramatic improvement for anything they've seen before Caitlin Clark. Why did 2 million people watch? Even though the game was embarrassing, even though Caitlin Clark wasn't.
This scenario greatly enhances Clark's reputation. Much of the weekend's coverage focused on her influence and ability to draw viewers. The 2 million who tuned in, more than double the pre-Clark era numbers, along with those who skipped due to her absence, highlight her unique impact on the league's popularity. The overall success of the All-Star Weekend, including Indianapolis's exceptional hospitality and treatment of WNBA athletes as genuine celebrities, can be traced directly to Clark's effect on the sport. She has changed how cities host league events and elevated the status of players like never before. Ironically, the same city where some players had previously criticized Indiana Fever fans ended up providing the most welcoming environment for WNBA personalities.
Caitlin Clark wasn't playing. They watched because one of the teams was named Team Clark. Caitlin Clark was the captain of the team. So just her being a captain of the team, just her getting introduced before the game, just her sitting on the sidelines is the reason why 2 million people watched that game. Had she been out there playing, it probably would have drawn 3.5, 4 million people, the same as last year.
The ongoing emphasis on Angel Reese's double-digit stats has become somewhat tiresome. Today's sports coverage often prioritizes box scores over actual game observation, reducing complex performances to simple numbers. Reese still holds her streak of consecutive double-doubles, even though her team suffered a heavy loss to Minnesota. Minnesota controlled the game from start to finish, making Reese's 11 points and 11 rebounds largely inconsequential. Her performance followed familiar trends, struggling with close-range shots but rebounding her own misses.
Last year, this is an awesome look for Caitlin Clark, and all of it can be spun. All of this is about Caitlin Clark. The 2 million viewers that did show up, the fact that that's more than twice as many people that watched pre-Caitlin Clark in the WNBA, and the fact that there was a diminished crowd because Caitlin Clark did not play. Everything about this WNBA All-Star Weekend, the fact that everybody called it a huge success.
The coaching staff's choice to make her a primary ball handler led to 9 turnovers and a -19 plus-minus rating. Media coverage continues to emphasize her streak of double-digit points and rebounds, which spans over 10 games in 2 separate seasons, making her the first WNBA player to reach this milestone. However, watching the actual games highlights the limited significance of these stats when her team suffers a decisive loss. The focus on minor statistical achievements may be overstated. While Reese shows strong rebounding skills and has improved in certain areas, including a solid 4 of 8 shooting performance in the latest game, her missed layups have received disproportionate attention.
The fact that everybody called it a huge success and how Indianapolis rolled out the red carpet, all of it is a credit to Caitlin Clark. She did that. She made that happen. She made a city bend over backwards and treat WNBA stars like they're legitimate stars. They got treated like celebrities in Indianapolis. It's pretty ironic that in the city where many of these NBA players have tried to smear Indiana Fever fans, that's where they get treated the best.
Watching games consistently shows that most players, except perhaps Nafisa Collier and Aya Wilson, often struggle with seemingly simple close-range shots. The league-wide problem of missed layups makes singling out Reese somewhat unfair. While her double-double streak has historical recognition, its true significance is debatable. These stats are more interesting numerical curiosities than meaningful measures of team success or individual impact. Chicago's 20-point loss to Minnesota highlights how individual statistics can misrepresent a player's real influence on the game.
Indiana Fever fans, that's where they get treated the best. That's where they have the best WNBA weekend. Anyway, so put a pin in that. That's my thoughts on the ratings from the WNBA All-Star Game. Now, I want to fast forward to last night and just probably a bit more of a negative take, but I just got to keep it real. I am so tired of hearing about Angel Reese and her double-doubles. And many of you...
Minnesota controlled nearly every aspect of the game, with Reese contributing little to her team's competitiveness. Her double-digit scoring mostly came in the fourth quarter, long after the outcome was decided, and her team was already far behind. Focusing on statistical milestones without context undermines meaningful basketball analysis. While Reese's consecutive double-double streaks are impressive on paper, they did not lead to team wins or tangible advantages. Chicago's struggles during her streak illustrate the limited value of individual stats when they are detached from actual team success.
As Lowe once said about Luka Doncic, I don't care if he was smoking crack. If he was doing what he was doing, you don't trade him. I don't care what Kennedy Carter did. I don't care if Kennedy Carter smashed a chair in the locker room. I don't care if a random player that is not as good as Kennedy Carter doesn't like Kennedy Carter. because there was at least a level of effort there. Kennedy Carter willed them to wins. Like, Angel was spectacular against MC.
Kennedy Carter remains one of the WNBA's most talented guards, yet Chicago Sky's decision to part ways with her is puzzling given her consistent elite production, clutch performances, and ability to carry the team from the bench. Her combination of skill, basketball IQ, and competitiveness places her among the league's top guards, alongside Caitlin Clark, Paige Buchers, Sabrina Ionescu, and Kelsey Mitchell. Despite social media criticism and misconceptions about her absence, Carter's overseas success, including sportsmanship recognition in China, demonstrates her value, while mediocrity was seemingly prioritized over excellence by the Sky. Any team seeking a high-impact player, particularly franchises just shy of contention like the Aces, would benefit significantly from her addition, highlighting systemic WNBA issues in undervaluing top talent.